Hey, what's going on, everyone? Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas with you. Wanted to hop on here as we always try to do on a Saturday morning or afternoon and just talk about the weather with you guys. Thank you to all of the new subscribers that we have met over the past couple of weeks. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Lot to talk about. So chime on in what we want to focus on. Again, we'll let you guys drive pretty much. We've got some changes coming to the lower 48. Big warm up in the east, stormy in the south, and then cooler and wetter in the west. That will be favorable for drought stricken areas. And then we'll talk about, of course, the tropics. We've got this little thing that you have on the screen right now that will likely try to develop over the next few days. It has a battle. We're going to go over some of the things, thankfully, that it's going to kind of encounter. Nonetheless, we're going to take a look at that and then some of the other things longer range in the tropics as well. Maria, how's it going? Hey, Don, good morning. Couple of people tuning in from Florida. This does not look like it's going to threaten Florida in the short term. I'm going to show you some models, though. It's a really weird steering current that we're going to get into. So there could be some shenanigans with this later in its life or from another system that kind of lifts up out of the Caribbean. So we're going to get all into that in a little bit as well. Let me know where you guys are watching from. We have a couple of people from Florida this morning. That would be great to see where you guys are tuning in from, and we will kind of get all into this. And again, I think we'll start with the tropics. We have a couple of people asking specifically about Florida. So we're going to go in there. Right now, the system as a whole it's very unorganized. It did bring a lot of rain to Trinidad and Tobago and the Lesser Antilles, the Windward Islands specifically over the past couple of days. But it's now moving away from the Lesser Antilles. This is going to spare bringing any more, at least widespread heavy rain to Puerto Rico. So good news there for those that have just been inundated with more rain from kind of that tropical resurgence there, that surge of tropical moisture yesterday and the day before. Hey, good morning in Jamaica. Some people from Jamaica tuning in. Welcome to the live stream. A lot of questions about it coming from Florida. So my initial thought is no, and I'm going to show you why in a second, but there could be some shenanigans with this late in its life. So I have a lot of questions as I pause to just kind of look at those. Feel free, post in the comments. Would love that, and we'll try to get to all of your questions here as we go forward. I'm going to pull up a couple of different things as we go through this. Just give me 1 second, and I'm going to show you some of the different models that we are looking at as we go forward here. If the technology is going to work today. It could be headed towards Jamaica, so that's going to be one of the things for sure that we are going to watch. There's still questions, though, how strong this thing could get in the short term. So at least that's some, relatively speaking, good news. There's going to be some wind shear working against this. There's going to be some dry air being introduced to it. So it's not a foregone conclusion that this thing gets strong, and honestly, there's really not much suggesting that this thing is able to get strong. So that's some good news there. Just give me 1 second. Have to change some things around real quick. Alrighty. So here we go. We're going to start with the European solution here, and I know everybody loves the European. It's not the end-all be-all, but what this shows, there's a lot of agreement here, and it's really hard to pick up where the actual storm is. You have to really go out. It's that little green moisture surge, if you will, that little green color there in and around Jamaica as we move into Tuesday. I think a better view, just to kind of show you kind of widespread here, is just looking at the spaghetti plots, because there's a lot of questions here. Is it coming to Florida? Is it not? What I want to kind of stress is that some weird things could happen with this as we get into next week. And specifically, as we move over the next couple of days, it is going to approach Jamaica. Now, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be too terribly strong for Jamaica, even though it's coming your direction. You're likely going to have gusty showers. You may be dealing with a tropical storm. At the very least, it's likely a tropical depression to bring some heavy rain to the island. But I don't think this is going to be able to get too strong. There's a lot of wind shear. There's a lot of dry air. So I think some relatively speaking good news. We're going to watch it in case it finds a sweet spot. But then after that, it does look like this is going to be able to kind of bend back towards Central America. I keep on saying some late shenanigans in its life. I'm going to show you some ensemble forecasts here. Yeah, and it looks relatively weak. Before I get into there it is right there. So, I mean, it's only a 1014 millibar low. And again, when you're talking about strong storms, you're definitely below 1,000 millibars. So the European wants it pretty weak. And even the crazy GFS wants it. I mean, it even wants it weaker than the European. So I don't think this is going to get too terribly strong. One of the reasons for that, I'm going to bring up the satellite again, and I'm going to show you what this has to encounter. So you see all of that red on your screen? That is dry air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere ahead of what is known as Invest 95L. You might see that posted some places. And what that means is that the Hurricane Center really designates that. That's when they pay extra close attention to it. They run their forecast models on it specifically. So if you see it's something thrown around as it being Invest 95L, that is the reason why. The green here on the water vapor shows the moisture in the mid-level. So there is our disturbance. I'll turn my little telestrator on. There is the disturbance. This little red box area it's where the Hurricane Center has highlighted its potential development zone. And then all of this out here is very dry air. Okay, so if you're a tropical disturbance trying to develop, you don't want to see that. If you are an island or a landmass that is potentially going to be impacted by something, this is good news. Now, they can still develop, but it's going to be really, really hard. So I do think over the next 24 to 48 hours, we could have a tropical depression develop. But then I don't think this is going to blow up by any means. There are no indications that is going to happen. The environment doesn't look that great for it. I mean, that is good. When I say it doesn't look that great, it's not that great for the storm. And that's good. That's what we like. Of course, especially when things have been so rough this year. Over the past couple of months lately anyway. I want to show you a different kind of modeling here. If you've been with this channel since its inception a couple of months ago, we're relatively new. And if you're here joining us for the first time, welcome. We talk all things weather. We break it down. We have these conversations like we're having now. And we like to go live on Saturdays. I like to see who's tuning in from where. I like to meet you guys. And just talk about what you guys want to talk about. We're going to break down a bunch of things. The tropics is the first thing we're talking about since most everybody that has been on so far have been interested in the tropics. But hit the subscribe button. We would love to have you on board. This is the ensemble forecast. It's the European ensembles. And what this is all these little circles that pop up on your screen are a different member of the ensemble trying to kind of put its own little opinion into where this thing is going to go and how strong it's going to get. So there we go on Halloween. That's Monday, October 31st. And you see a bunch of little green circles pop up by Jamaica. So it does look like... Oh, thanks, Eddie. I appreciate that. Good morning, by the way. I hope that you are you're doing okay after the very heavy rain that once again came through. Anyway, all those little green circles. So I'm confident that as maybe even getting into Haiti, we're going to get some indirect impacts or some minimal impacts from this. And then certainly Jamaica, I want you to be paying a close attention in Jamaica. Still, I don't think this is going to get too strong, but again, certainly you want to be mindful that this is out here. The ensembles really tell the same story. Most of the members, and some of them even fizzle it out. And you see it then take it into Central America and then kind of fizzles out there as we get into November 4th. Now, I had a couple of questions about Florida. I don't think that this system is going to impact Florida, and I'm going to show you why. We're going to break down the steering current. But notice what the ensembles do here as we go out into the first week or two of November. Okay, we're all the way into the middle of November now. The timestamps up top there at the top of your screen, that's November 12th and 13th. You see all these circles. There's likely going to be more shenanigans going on in the Caribbean, and I'm going to show you why that is in a second. Keep on saying I'm going to show you why. There is so much to dissect and to talk about. That's why I love having you guys on here, because it's not just about the modeling here. I know the models are kind of plastered all over the place. All those spaghetti plots are everywhere. There's lines and circles everywhere. But here on this channel, we show you why the model is saying what it's saying. And you clearly see here, we're staying really uncharacteristically active in the Caribbean and in the tropical Atlantic as we move into the better part of November, really through the middle of the month. The GFS paints the same kind of picture. There's our little disturbance. And I mean, it almost washes it out. The GFS doesn't even want a depression here. So we may not even get a depression. I think the one thing here is that we're obviously still watching this, especially for you guys in Haiti, Central America. I know I had some people tuning in from Belize, in Jamaica. We're going to watch this closely for you, and my videos over the week ahead are going to be focused on this for sure. I don't think it's going to get too strong, though. Heavy rain, absolutely. But in terms of the wind, I don't think it's going to be able to get too strong. So the GFS also in the long range paints this picture. See all these circles coming back up out of the extreme Southwest Caribbean and then lifts all those circles. It's not a bunch of different storms. It is maybe one or two storms, though, lifting out of the Caribbean. And that is all because of a large-scale pattern known as the Madden-Julian oscillation, or a large-scale entity. We're going to get real into it now. So again, if I have, not sure how many people are with me here, but we are about to get in it. And what I mean by that is the reason why that we're likely going to stay pretty active, at least, especially from a November standpoint in the tropics. You see that big blue area on your screen? Click the like button if you see that. This area here out, and we're looking, I know there's a lot of, I'm going to change the view here so I can kind of show you with the mouse. But that big blotch of blue, that is pretty much right on top of South America, extends throughout all of the Caribbean, even in the extreme eastern Atlantic, or the extreme western Atlantic, outside of the Lesser Antilles, and then really all the way through the Gulf of Mexico. What that is, it is a convective pulse. It's known as the MJO for short, Madden-Julian oscillation. And what it is, it's just an area of disturbed weather that circles the globe every 30 to 60 days. It's almost like a mini La Nina or El Nino. It has the same kind of impact, but it's not that, but it's sort of like that. But anyway, what this does, it promotes rising motion. So it doesn't necessarily develop a tropical entity, but it promotes rising air. To get thunderstorms, you need air to rise. So we're expecting a pretty stormy go of things nonetheless through northern South America, into the Caribbean, and the extreme western Atlantic. This is a pretty big pulse here. So regardless of what happens with this tropical wave that's in the Caribbean now, I don't think this is the end of, unfortunately, hurricane season. I think there's going to be room for another 1 to 2 storms through the third week or so of November before we finally shut things off. So we're looking through the date here, November, that goes through November 10th, and typically there's a little bit of delay from when the pulse comes through and then whenever you kind of see the impacts or the effects of that kind of perturbation, if you will, that the impacts of that pulse moving through. You got it, Mala. I hope you're saying your name right. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's great to have you on board with us on this Saturday morning. Yeah, it's been a really weird year, Eddie, so I would not be surprised if we do have something carry over into December. Typically, those are those weird ones that don't have much of an impact. Things really start to wind down, of course, post-hurricane season. Someone mentioned that the models have been crazy. Yeah, it's a meteorological nightmare with some of those computer forecasts. But so when I have the questions of, is this coming to Florida? I don't think the tropical wave that's in there now is going to come to Florida. I'm going to pull up here. I'm going to show you why. And I have this pulled up for a couple of reasons. But if I have anybody tuning in from the West Coast, let me know where you're watching from. If you just joined this live feed, welcome. I would love to know where you're watching from, and we can talk about the weather where you are as well. We're breaking down the tropics right now, but post in what you want to know about. We've got some big changes coming to the west. We've got some warmer changes coming to the east. And then, of course, we're watching this little tropical thing. But the reason why I don't think this is coming to Florida, you see that big area of orange at the bottom of your screen? There's that big area, or that big chunk of red. Oh, St. Lucia, awesome. Welcome. I hope you're doing okay after some of that heavy rain that's been moving through over the past couple of days. We were watching that for you. It's been ugly. It's been wet there. I know, especially the southern part of the Windward Islands. But everybody see that orange? And you can type yes in the comments if you do. That light orange right at the bottom of your screen with that little circle line there. I got to get an arrow so that I can point that out. That's what I'm going to work on for the next live, to try to find an arrow. That is basically a ridge of high pressure building there, kind of over Cuba, over Florida, and then over the Bahamas. And what that is going to do, it's going to help to keep that westward motion going. So you notice how the spaghetti models here kind of lift up toward Jamaica and then go back down towards Central America. That is all because that's going to coincide with that ridge of high pressure that's going to develop over the Deep South, Gulf, Bahamas, Cuba, to kind of guide it back down. Now, I mentioned that there could be some shenanigans, and this is going to be weird. I got to find my tab. I have tabs all over the place. If you're like me and you have tabs just everywhere, I'm a tab person. So I've got literally tabs everywhere. Anyway, watch what happens here as we go into, this is November 4th into November 5th. You see that blue pop up on the right side of your screen? That's going to be an upper low kind of dipping down into the Bahamas. This is going to be a really, really weird setup. And what this would act to do now is anything that's in the Caribbean could kind of get pulled up by that upper low. Okay, so that's something that we're going to be watching. If we do get extra development in the Caribbean, that little thing could act to steer things back up. Now, this is going to be a weird pattern. We call this an omega block. You see why? It kind of looks like the Greek letter omega. We've got that little dip in the jet stream to the west. We got a dip over here, cutoff low, as we call them. Cutoff low number 2. And then that big ridge of high pressure. So everybody in the red and orange are going to be unseasonably warm and relatively quiet. So the Northeast is going to be really warm. It's going to be gorgeous next weekend. New York, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Ohio. Relatively dry, 60s, maybe even 70s. So a nice kind of early November start. It's going to be kind of stormy out in the desert Southwest and Southern California. So it's not going to be drought busting rain per se, but we're going to get some much needed rain coming to the West Coast of the United States because of this upper low. This is going to be pretty big. Some heavy snow in the northern Sierra Nevadas, certainly the Cascades. I'll show you here. I've got this lined up for anybody tuning in from the West. If you do, give me a thumbs up. Give me a let me know if you're watching from there. But look at all the blue there represented into that represents the snow here. And you see almost that atmospheric river set up. We're going to fast forward into November 4th and 5th. And look at all that heavy rain on the West Coast transition down pretty much with that upper low that I just showed you. And then a lot of snow through Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, the higher elevations. And then look at all that rain moving down through San Francisco and then 3 down again. This is going to be, we're looking at November 6th through 7th through 8th, 9th. So really as we get back towards that back half of the first week of November, that's when we're going to be able to get some of that heavy rain pushing through. So some positive there. Again, we don't want it all at once because then we have the mudslides, especially in the areas with the burn scars. Hey, Weather Watcher. Sorry, I missed your comment before. So again, we don't want it all at once, but we do desperately need rain as my friends living out on the western 2/3 of the country. Obviously, severe drought continues. It is expected to at least be maintained because of the La Nina winter. La Nina typically brings wetter conditions to the Pacific Northwest and then typically keep things dry on the southern side. So, yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. So there is a lot going on over the next couple of weeks. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would love to have you on board. Again, we talk all things weather. I'm going to be talking a lot about all of these changes in the videos that I publish through the week. And again, we always try to go live on Saturdays, either late in the morning or early in the afternoon, to just say what's up. And then I love having the conversation with you guys, seeing where you're tuning in from and what you're up to and what kind of where you're at, so we can break down the weather where you live. So welcome to the channel if this is your first time finding us. Would love for you to subscribe and join our awesome weather community that we're building. Thank you so much for the new subscribers that subscribed last week. It was awesome meeting a lot of people from across the world, really. Met somebody from Malaysia. Have a lot of friends in Puerto Rico. Shout out to you guys. St. Lucia as well. Jamaica, we've been watching this for you. But we'd love to have you on board. So please hit that subscribe button. If you love the weather, if you love talking about it, you've come to the right place because we're building an awesome community where we like to just kind of hang around, drink some coffee, talk about the weather. Also, if we have some people tuning in from maybe the deep south, we do have a severe weather threat today, and that's partially related to one of those upper lows that are eventually going to get cut off. Thanks, Eddie. It's been awesome talking to you and giving me all your storm reports from Puerto Rico. It's a shame that continues to happen, but hopefully we can take a break and we don't get anything else down there. We need to shut the rain off for sure. I mean, same thing for Florida. If you're watching from Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, I'm going to show you the future radar now. This is going to be Saturday afternoon at about 1 o'clock. So today, 1 o'clock. And notice that big line of thunderstorms sliding through New Orleans. We could have some isolated or some a tornado or two in here. These kind of broken line, these little kidney bean shapes. Never good news to see that as they're going through. Look at Jackson, Mississippi. This is going to be as we get into 7, 8 o'clock tonight, later on in the evening, dinner time. So just be on the lookout for that going forward. Brazil, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the channel. Welcome on board. You're going to have some crazy weather. You're going to be dealing with a crazy kind of cold blast in South America. And really, you're one of the reasons why we could have that opportunity for that enhanced tropical activity in the Caribbean, because not you per se, just South America is sending that anomalous cool air up over the Caribbean. So there's a lot going on in the South America region, the Caribbean, and then certainly the lower 48, as we were just talking about. I do think, Eddie, for Tornado Alley, that this is going to be a little further east. This is more in along the lines for Dixie Alley, where we've been getting the, unfortunately, big tornado outbreaks over the last several years. Not saying this one's going to be a big tornado outbreak, but this is going to be this chance for severe weather is going to be there. Shout out to the Philippines. Welcome. Good to have you on board. Nice to have you this morning. Ethan is asking about the tropics, so we are going to get back to the tropics, and we're going to break this down here. The tropics look interesting. The Caribbean system for November. All right, so we've got a couple of questions on the tropics, specifically in the Caribbean. So we're going to start from square one here, and I'm going to show you where the system is right now. So this is our little tropical wave. We're going to start on the water vapor because this really tells the story. So there is... Hey, good morning, Donovan. Hello from Jamaica. Perfect timing, because we're going to break this down from the Caribbean and for Florida. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing and hitting the like button. We appreciate that. That helps us out a ton. So here we go in the Caribbean. I'm going to just get a sip of coffee real quick so I don't lose my voice on you guys. You guys drinking coffee if it's still the morning where you are? I need that. I'm on my third cup this morning. Yeah, I'm going to be wired. Anyway, here is the green representing the moisture. This is our disturbance out here. You notice, though, what is out ahead of it. So all of this orange is dry air. We are going to have a depression, or at least the potential for a tropical depression to develop over the next 24 to 48 hours. So don't be surprised if you see that. There are several limiting factors, so this is not going to go gangbusters and rapidly intensify, at least in my opinion, as it moves towards Jamaica. Here we go with Kingston. So my Jamaican friends, it's going to be moving in this general direction, but there's a ton of dry air. So while heavy rain is likely coming towards Jamaica, I don't think this is going to have a lot of room to really explode and become something strong. There may be a tropical storm on your doorstep. It may be able to reach that intensity. I'm not sure, though, if it can get much stronger than that. I never want to say never when it comes to the weather, okay? But I am just at least there are limiting factors here. So I want you to know that in case there's some hypey things out there on the internet, which there are, which you won't find here on this channel. Hey, good morning in Grenada. Thank you so much for joining. So that is kind of where it is now. And I want to show you a couple of different things. We're going to start with the European model, and it really paints the same kind of picture. It would help if I change the screen so you can see that. Now PM. Awesome. Yeah, getting kind of late there. At least later. So you see that little circle here, and again, I'm going to try to figure out how to get an arrow so I can point this out a little better rather than be like, hey, look at this green speck. Anyway, where the 1008 is, right south of Hispaniola, south of Haiti, south of Dominican Republic, that is where the low pressure is. It's not much. You see that little flare up of moisture there? That's just south of Jamaica. So I'm expecting some rain here as we move into Monday into Tuesday for Jamaica. And then you kind of see that moisture head towards Central America, closer to Belize, the Yucatan. That is because of that area of high pressure. GFS is the same kind of story here. But it's even weaker. So it has, Eddie's asking if it has passed Puerto Rico, and yeah, the quote unquote center, it's really oblong and not well defined, but it has moved past. There's still a little bit of lingering moisture with it, but for the most part, it has passed Puerto Rico. You see, there's still some spread on the modeling here. So Ethan brings up a good point. If you stick around for a couple more minutes, I'm going to go over that again because I don't think this is the last disturbance. And I'm going to show you why. There's actually some pretty big signals here that would suggest that this is just kind of the start between like a late November or a late season push through the middle and latter stages. Eddie, are you drinking coffee, my man? I see the coffee emojis. You know what? I'm gonna check up on that for you. If you give me a second here, I will look that up for you. You got it, man. I appreciate it. You are welcome in Jamaica. You are welcome. So again, next couple of days, be on the lookout. Stay close. If you subscribe to the channel, we're going to keep you updated on this over the next few days. Don't expect it getting too strong, but it still is going to be impactful with some heavy rain. I mean, we saw yesterday in Trinidad and Tobago that this brought so much heavy rain, and it was, quote-unquote, just a tropical wave. The rain is no joke, as we all know. This same deal, there was no named storm in Puerto Rico, and more flooding happened because of that almost fire hose. So, and then this is likely heading towards Central America. All right. So I mentioned about, I don't think that this is the end. I showed this a little bit ago, and I think it's worth showing again just because the anomaly, in my opinion, is so crazy here, especially for November. So you see that blue area. And give me a thumbs up if you see the blue, or type yes in the comments if you see the blue. What that represents is upper level divergence anomaly. When you get air evacuating up in the upper levels of our atmosphere, it has to be replaced with convergence at the surface and rising motion. So you have to complete that, okay? You have to complete that circle, if you will. You have to complete that circle. So, yeah. And I just wanted to double check that I was on when Ethan says this is impressive. I kind of lost my train of thought there. It's impressive. That is the mean. So that isn't just like one member of this is the European ensemble. That is the mean, and it's screaming that anomaly. So basically, where you're seeing the blue there, that's rising motion. To get thunderstorms, you need air to rise. And we have a ton of that. So I had somebody tuning in from Brazil, and I said, you're sending us kind of the stormy weather. Wasn't him, of course, but something known as the Madden-Julian oscillation. It's a convective pulse, again, that circles the globe every 30 to 60 days. And we are going to be in phase, as sometimes I like to say, when you see that blue. And that is a very big anomaly. Now, what happens there is when we get that, we oftentimes see increased thunderstorms and potentially tropical development. One thing I want to say before I show you the ensembles. A lot of times, some other channels and on social media, you just see models plastered everywhere. It can bring a lot of anxiety and things like that. I always preach that you need to have context with those models. It's fine to show them. They're everywhere, and they should be explained. But there's got to be context. I'm going to show you the context first. So when you see the model doing this, and if you see them online, you're going to know why it's doing that. So again, keep this image in the back of your head, okay? Sherma, you got it. Shout out to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We were talking about you yesterday in the video, in the little YouTube short. I hope you were able to dry out. Looked nasty there yesterday. Okay, so here are the ensembles. And we're going to start with, I'm going to go to the European ensembles first, okay? So here's our little guy. You see those little green circles out over the Caribbean. That is Invest 95L. That is our little tropical wave moving through the Caribbean. And agreement there goes that it's very weak through Jamaica, and then very weak through, very weak into Central America as well. Okay? But watch what happens. So as we go out to November 4th, 5th, and 6th, you see more little circles pop up in the extreme Southwest Caribbean, and then more pop up Okay? And then a bunch of stuff just kind of go everywhere. What that is showing now, so we've just looked at the reason. Now here is the model response. So the model is like, okay, we're going to have something going on here. And then it's spitting out, at least the ensemble members are spitting out what it thinks could happen. So that's the European. Okay, so that takes us through now. You see all those circles. Those aren't all storms. There could be 2 storms in there, and that's a bunch of the members of the ensemble. There's several. There's 20 some runs or 50. I think there's 52 in there that kind of give its own little story or own little opinion into the greater mean there. So again, don't be alarmed when you see circles everywhere. It's just they think, okay, it could be over here, it could be over here, it could be over here. It just kind of paints the picture that it's going to expect an increase in coverage over the next couple of days, or couple of weeks, I should say. So there it is again. GFS hardly has that thing develop. Invest 95L, our tropical wave that's in the Eastern Caribbean. It hardly develops it. But again, still some rain coming to Jamaica at the very least. We're going to watch that for you. Look at the circles, though. It paints the same picture. And then, more aggressive look, too. You see those circles. There's likely at least 1 storm here, maybe 2. And again, it may not happen. But if there was nothing to force this, I would be like, okay, this is complete garbage. But there is a reason for it. And when there's a reason and then the ensembles start to go a little nuts like this, you get a little more confidence in it that we do have a large scale pattern going on, a large scale change. And, it gives you a little more confidence that we could have something going on. So no, certainly I don't want to get anybody nervous for sure. It's just okay, because there's obviously no way you can kind of hone in on where anything would go, and it may not even be able to form. So when I showed you all those circles, if it encounters an environment like this, it's going to be hard to get going. And when I say environment like this, look at all that dry air. That orange there represents the dry air, and this is our little there. It's going to try to fight it, but I think the dry air is ultimately going to keep it in check. And if there's dry air involved when anything tries to get going again, or if there's wind shear involved, we're not going to get anything too terribly strong. So there's a lot of factors still to go into the future. It's just that I don't think that this is going to be the last thing that we are tracking in the tropics, per se, over the next few days. Eddie asked if I think Lisa will form. It's going to be close. I feel like if it does, it's going to stay weak. If Lisa does form. But, there's just nothing screaming that it's that conducive. If it's going to do so, I think it's going to do so in the next 48 hours. Because it's just too... It's just too... It's hostile there. It's very hostile there. So I'm just checking up on some things real quick. Got a question from the Philippines. Let me see here. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, Ethan, I'm with you. We can't catch a break, and we need to. All right, so I don't know if my friend from the Philippines is still on, but here we go, looking at the tropical system for us there. You see that spiral there. So it's pretty much right over the international airport. If you are familiar with that, I'll turn on... let me turn on the satellite for you. And that might paint kind of a bigger picture. So there you go. So there's Pang, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Alrighty, guys. Any other questions, post them here. I have about another minute left, and then I'll let you guys go. But I just want to thank you, everybody, again. Oh, awesome. Got another someone from the Philippines. I hope that you are okay and that you are you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for joining in on the channel. It's awesome to talk to somebody from the Philippines. One of my best friends, family lives in the Philippines. And I've heard great things. So I hope that you are okay, and I hope that this isn't doing too much damage for you. I wish I had a better satellite presentation to show you. But you see some of the winds here, 22 mile per hour sustained. So it looks like the winds have backed off a little bit. So that's some good news. And I hope that you are seeing that the same. So please stay safe in the Philippines. And thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Awesome. And that's because of you, my man, Ethan. Thank you. No, I appreciate you spreading the word. You're a part of this as well. Everybody that's joining is a part of this. I'm just amazed at what's happened, and I'm thankful for all of the new subscribers and everybody. Yes, is it June? Is that how it is? June? He asked for a shout out, and I apologize if I am pronouncing that wrong. So I'm glad that you are still on in the Philippines. But there is your shout out. And I hope I pronounced that right. If not, please forgive me. But I hope that you are doing okay and you're safe over there, and that this is over for you quickly. But again, just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for all of the new subscribers over the last couple of weeks. It's been awesome getting to meet you. Again, we try to do this every Saturday. To just kind of talk about the world of weather. There's so much going on. Again, we've broken down the Philippines. We've talked about the Windward Islands, talked about the Caribbean. We've talked about California and the West, and then the warm East. So we've touched a lot of corners of the globe here today. I guess it's a globe and not a square, so there wouldn't be any corners with it. But you know what I'm saying. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching this, and would love to have you back. If you liked what you saw, and if you like being a part of this community, again, this is all because of you guys, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you all, and I hope you all are staying safe if you are being impacted by the crazy weather. And again, look for more content here. Again, we're going to be keeping you guys updated, especially with Invest 95L. You got it, June. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you tons. Appreciate you guys tons, and we'll keep you posted right here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the comments on the videos, and I won't be able to go live next Saturday. I have a wedding to go to. But I think because of your help, I get the community page on YouTube with all of the subscribers so that I can post on there. So look for posts. I have to wait for YouTube to give it to me. I think I qualify for it, but now I'm at their discretion. So if I get that, I'll be able to keep you guys updated, even on Saturday. But look for more videos this week. And since I won't be able to go live next Saturday, I will catch you guys in 2 Saturdays. And, of course, during the week in the comments. Thank you guys a ton. Eddie, have a great one. I hope you're drying out. Donovan, I appreciate you. You have yourself a good day as well. June, again, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, bud. We will catch you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe if this is your first time joining.